you have come to the place where you can learn to harness the power of intention, to create subconscious beliefs that serve you, and to gain insights that allow you to create a life, personally and professionally, that you desire. This is the place where you leverage your subconscious mind and design your destiny. Join me now, your host, Penny Chason. Hey, my joyful souls. It is Penny, and I'm excited to be back to share with you this week. And I think many of you might have already guessed or realized that the things that I speak of here on the podcast are practices that are not one and done. They are practices that, in order to achieve the greatest amount of ease in our life, to live from a place of peace, to live from a place of being able to be present. These things that I talk about are continual practices. And one of the things that I've mentioned several times is awareness. But this is probably going to sound a little convoluted. We have to have an awareness around our awareness. So what do I mean by that? Well, I've talked about how it's important that we're aware of our thoughts, that we are aware as to whether or not we are in the present moment or we're allowing our mind to run amok. We've talked about awareness of things like the energy of the moon, and especially as women, because our hormones tend to fall into sync with those same cycles of nature, that through awareness we can better plan, we can better support our bodies, we can have more grace with ourselves and how we feel. But, to have awareness of many things, how we are responding, the outcomes of the choices that we make. Awareness really encompasses everything. But sometimes, if we're not careful, the same way that we can use what I call the spiritual bypass or the gratitude bypass, we can fall into the habit of allowing our awareness to become a bypass. And the way that it becomes a bypass is it actually becomes an excuse. And as you probably already know, excuses keep us in a comfort zone. Excuses can serve to prevent us from doing the uncomfortable things that allow us to grow, that allow us to create what it is that we want. So for an example, say that, I woke up one morning and I was feeling really awful, and I look at the moon calendar on my phone and I see, just say for example, it's a full moon. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a full moon. I feel horrible. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this moon. Oh, I just can't do anything. The moon is affecting me too much. That's an excuse. When I talk about awareness of things like the energy of the moon, it's like you wake up, you're feeling terrible, maybe you're really heavy, you're tired, and you can look at the app on your phone that covers the phases of the moon, and you can be like, oh, we're coming into a full moon. I got it. This is something I simply need to deal with so that I can do what I need to do. What it does is that awareness allows us to put what we're experiencing into perspective, to know that, okay, this is just going to be a funky energy day, but I have things to do, so let me keep moving forward. As opposed to, say, I wake up and I'm feeling really heavy, I'm feeling really tired, I'm not feeling well at all, and just out of curiosity, I look at the app. There's nothing going on with the moon. There's nothing going on with the Schumann resonance. The weather is fine outside, but I'm feeling pretty darn crappy. That might be my body telling me, you know what? You're overdoing it. You're getting burnout. You need to let off the gas just a little bit. So when I talk about awareness of those things, it's just that awareness allows us to put things in perspective. It allows us to manage our expectations. It allows us to choose to adjust and adapt in a way that supports us. But if you're using this awareness as a reason to not follow through on the things that you need to do, as a way to avoid getting uncomfortable, as a way to avoid certain situations, then you want to have an awareness about that so that you can choose in a way that supports you. The key in all of this is that awareness allows you to choose. When you are having a moment that is uncomfortable, or a moment where you don't feel fully yourself, or your energy doesn't seem that it is what you expect it to be, ask yourself what's causing you to feel that way. And even go so far as to ask yourself, am I responding the way that I would expect myself to respond? I cannot give you the answers as to what is the correct response for you, except to say, periodically, check in on yourself just to make sure that you're not using awareness of circumstances, situations, people that you may be around as an excuse to avoid doing the things that are going to get you to where you want to be. That you're not using this awareness as a way to avoid habits, thought patterns that aren't serving you well. In a previous episode, I talk about the spiritual bypass. I had never heard of the term spiritual bypass before a couple of years ago, but I most definitely worked myself right into my own personal crisis doing the gratitude bypass. And I did not recognize that I still, deep inside of me, had anger. All I knew is that when I would feel bad around a certain situation that had happened in the past, I would say, oh, but I'm grateful that this, and this. I should not feel bad because I'm grateful of this, and this. And as all of this came about, I was so far removed from the original incident that created the feelings that were driving this. I didn't recognize that I had unprocessed emotion there. And I was gratitude bypassing out of that emotion until it came to the point that it had to be addressed. So in the same way we can spiritual bypass and gratitude bypass, I guess you could say that we can awareness bypass, which is why the title of this episode is Awareness, Not Excuses. Because we have to do check-ins on ourselves. You could call it internal quality control. Where is your attention? And if you're not getting what you want, evaluate what it is that you've been doing so that you can see where you've been making choices and maybe where you have avoided choosing. So I want to thank you for listening to today's episode on awareness and not excuses. In the near future, I'm going to be doing some episodes where you can ask me anything. So please feel free to hit reply on the email or on Facebook or Instagram, hit my messenger and just let me know what you would like to hear more of on the podcast. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in today. I would love it if you would head over to iTunes and leave a positive review about how this episode has helped you to improve your life. When you leave a positive review, it helps us to reach even more people, helping them to change their lives. And that positive energy and vibration of sharing comes back to you as we spread the message of how you can use the power of intention, creating stronger subconscious beliefs and raising our vibration to create the life that we desire, the one that we're here to truly live so that we can fulfill our purpose in life. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.